everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Leadership Detectives with Albert and Neil, uncovering the clues of great leadership. And we're in episode 2 of season 2 in this epic adventure we're on together. How are you doing today, Albert?
I'm good. It's actually quite exciting, isn't it, being in season 2? It's quite a nice feeling that we've got a bit of refreshment through it. And you know, as we said before, we're doing some work with some people helping professionalize this a lot more. And it feels really good. So, yeah, really good to be here.
It's interesting, actually. So in TV series, if you get to season 2, that's normally a vindication that you're doing something right. Because a lot of things get stopped after season 1 and then not re-signed. Now, given that we're, signing ourselves to this, it kind of makes it easy for us to do that.
Yeah, I guess the difference is on the TV, someone's deciding that people are watching, and so it's good to go to season 2.
Yeah,
we've decided we're going to season 2, but we know people are watching and we're getting some great feedback and comments. So, hey, that's great. So what did we do last? We talked about what is a leader, right? Which is just to put a baseline down, guys, because that's really important. But the thing we want to talk about today is about creating a compelling vision. And everyone that we've spoken to of our guests throughout the period up until now, and everything that we do and have been and seen tells us you've got to have a vision as your platform by which to go forward. So Neil, you do this really well, actually. And it'd be great for us to get some experience from you on that. But what's your thoughts on that before we launch into the content?
So I also just want to put a frame on how we're going to structure today. What I think we should cover is, why is this important? What are good examples of this to try and help people get their head around what we're talking about? How you can create a compelling vision and who should be involved in it. I think that's kind of, if we make sure we cover that as we're talking through this. But vision's an interesting, it gets debated a lot around, vision and mission. There's a lot of confusion around that. The most important thing we've heard, the most important thing I work with when I'm working with leadership teams is just making sure that there is a compelling direction that people are going in, that's exciting, that everybody buys into, that isn't touchable. It needs to be out in the future, that is somewhere you want to take people. And so that's what I think a vision is, and why it's important. Because if you don't know where you're going, if you haven't got that destination, then how do you know what actions to take now? How do you know what plans to build, how to structure your teams, etc.? So I think that's why creating a compelling vision is so important. Let's
just make it a bit simple for people, guys. Right? Would you set off on a journey not knowing where you're going? Would you set off on what would you do? You'd get in the car or you'd go to public transport, and what would you do? You'd just travel, right?
Just jump on any train.
So at its simplest form, guys, unless you know where you want to go, all the journey could be wasted, or it would be frustrating because you don't know if you're making progress. So just keep that simple thought in mind.
So the great story or quote on that is from Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, where Alice arrives at a junction in the road and the Cheshire Cat's in the tree. And Alice says to the Cheshire Cat, "Which road should I take?" And he says, "Well, where are you going?" And she says, "I don't know." So he says, "Well, any road will do."
It doesn't matter then. That's right. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. So that, look, amongst the wise guys, that's one of the key things. You've got to know where you're trying to end up when you start the journey.
Yeah, and Stephen Covey, we've talked about the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which is one of the Bibles for leaders, and this is setting a vision is one of the key things a leader has to do for their team, for their business, for their sports team, whatever it is. And in Habit 2, Covey talks about begin with the end in mind, because if you begin and then see where you're going, you could be taking the wrong actions, doing the wrong things, as we just said. But begin with the end in mind and have this vision of where you're going and make it compelling. And this is what great leaders do. Great leaders make their vision compelling so that when people come into work, they know what they are contributing to, what energy they're putting in is, and what that's doing for their business, for their customers, and for society.
So that's a really good point as well, right? It's got to be compelling for your teams and for your business. The fact that you might be excited about it and you might love the words or the diagram or anything that you've put to articulate your vision, if it's not exciting for everybody else, they're not coming on the journey with you. So that's really important. So having a great vision and making sure you articulate it and can get people on board with it.
And I think if you look at a couple of examples of great, it kind of paints the picture. So Microsoft back in the late 80s, early 90s, their vision when they were founded was a computer on every desk in every home. Yeah. Right now, so when you come into work to work for Microsoft, you know what you're working towards.
Yeah.
You know why you're turning up, because you're trying to get a computer on every desk in every home. Tesla and Elon Musk's vision is all of, I haven't got the exact wording here, but it's all about saving the planet. It's all about creating a sustainable planet where we can all live. And then his SpaceX is all about creating an alternative to Earth in case there's there's an event on it. So when people come to work, they know they are contributing to that vision.
Well, what about for you, Neil? What about when you were in a corporate role? And then we'll come to today. But when you were in a corporate role, do you have examples of where you had a vision that you articulated and got people on board to?
Yeah, and I think, so yes is the answer. So I can think of, many examples. So when I was running a UK sales organization, when you and I were working together, I just had this absolute vision that I used to articulate to people all the time, that we're going to be the best sales team in the UK. And the way we were going to measure that we were the best sales team in the UK was how many people went to club.
Yeah.
And so because if you went to club, that means you'd overachieved your number. And the more people that overachieve their number, the more people go to club. Therefore, we must be the most successful sales team in the UK. And that vision seemed to energize people because they knew we're coming into work. Yeah, we're going to benefit from this individually, but we're going to be the best sales team in the UK.
I remember one of the visuals you used to use for that. I remember you had a visual of a plane and you were filling up the seats on the plane, right? Now that's powerful for people to see that plane filling up and to know whether you've got a boarding card or not, right?
Yeah.
So important because it makes it real, it makes it exciting, and it gets people engaged, right?
And likewise, I mean, so what about you? What would be a good example for you of vision?
I remember we had a really simple one. I don't think I even started it. I think the team started it, because I remember saying to the team, these are the things we're being driven to. We've got this place we've got to get to, and I don't know how we're going to get there. And it doesn't matter. I can talk about it now because it doesn't matter what the business was, but we had a gross profit of a certain number, and the number we were told we had to hit, let's do the number, it's 50%. And we weren't at 50%. We were at 43 or something. So this vision of getting to 50%, I remember first talking and people were going, we're never going to get there. That's a crazy goal. Why would you even think about getting to a place like that? And they started it, right? And it actually came on board, and everybody got on board with this get to the 50%. We made video skits about it, and lots of stuff went on, right? But everybody got on board, because whether you were generating revenue, whether you were leasing deals, whether you were spending money on parts and engineers, you could all get your mind around 50% is the base. Are we getting there? And it was just so exciting, right?
But it does, and that's a really good example, is it gives you a point to focus your attention on. And so if everybody's actions are aligned behind that point, then the vision might be wrong. You might be moving in the wrong, but at least you're moving in a direction that focuses you there. Yeah. It's interesting, actually, because I was just thinking about when I was in the military, when I went through Sandhurst, you go through a set of orders, and you start off with you talk about the mission. But one of the things they added in the 90s, so it used to be you shared with your troops the mission, what you're trying to achieve. But one of the things they added to the orders in the 90s was the commander's intent. So it wasn't just about the mission for your organization. It was about what is the commander's intention. And the reason that was important is because specific actions you take might contribute to that intent. So you could make decisions on the ground so long as it was aligned with that intention. And I think that's why a vision is so important, is it enables people to know that what they're doing is aligned behind that intention, that direction.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And I think you've stepped into the what there as well, right? So we can probably continue on that, because I think hopefully, guys, you've got the idea of why you need one, but the what is really important. And I think what you just described there is you don't have to adopt per se the vision that is above you. You don't have to take the vision that your leader has got and tell your team that is our vision as well. Mm-hmm. You need to personalize it. You need to make it real for the people that it applies to. So what is your vision for your team within the business, company, or organization that you are within, right? Yeah. Don't adopt somebody else's vision for a start, unless you believe it. If you really believe it, that's great. And if it fits your team, that's great. But chances are it doesn't, right? So you need to personalize it. What's your thoughts around that?
That also overlaps with the who as well here, because vision isn't just about the CEO, the founder of the business setting this vision. Yet those are really powerful and they're important. But if your boss hasn't set a vision, that doesn't mean you can't set a vision for your team. It doesn't mean, and it could be, you're managing an engineering team, and your vision for that engineering team is you're going to have the most satisfied customers in the country, that you're going to have the highest employee satisfaction in the country, or, you're going to, whatever the vision might be, excited customers, energized employees, or something like that. And you get everybody behind that vision. Or if you're an admin team, it could be, you're going to have energized, delighted customers, or you're going to have the most efficient processes, or what. So it doesn't matter what you do, it fits you have, as a leader, you have to set that vision.
And it needs to be completely achievable and believable within your current belief.
So no, definitely. Okay. Then we get into this debate about vision, mission, goals, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Let me pause for a minute, and you just take over for a sec, right? And share your view on vision, mission, goals.
Wow. I think at the highest level, right, the very highest level, I would say vision is about the future, where you're trying to get to, what's in the distance, and something you've got to reach for. Is it achievable? It doesn't appear so at the moment, but that makes it all the more challenging, right? Mission, if I had to get down to that level, I think mission is about describing what you do and how you do it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
With a view to reaching that vision, right? So vision's about the future, mission's about now. Goals, I would see as being more immediate and more personal, and breaking it down into chunks, right? Yeah, so if I hit certain things, it contributes to this mission and it puts me on the road or the journey to where I'm trying to get to. So that, I guess, if that was my, in a lift, give me your quick view, that's it.
So when you're setting goals, that's when SMART comes into play, about specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and
correct,
time bound. So, but I was looking at some missions earlier, and it's worth looking at a few, because I think, are these missions, are these visions? And actually, when I'm running workshops, I kind of say to people, look, don't get hung on whether it's a vision or a mission. All the MBA people in the room are just bury your heads, because it's not going to help move you forward if distinction on whether it's a vision or a mission.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've got a great one here. So IKEA have a mission statement, which is to create a better everyday life for the many people. Now, it doesn't say anything about building furniture or having, accessibility to flat pack furniture. It's about creating a better life for the people that are buying from them, basically. So, I mean, what does that sound like to you? Does that sound like a vision? Does it sound like a mission?
I don't know. I could put a distinction on it.
No.
I mean, you could say that's a vision as well, right? But it sounds more like a mission. It sounds more like a mission because I think it sounds more achievable and more here and now.
And how are you going to feel coming to work, knowing that you're making life better for your customers?
Yeah, and that's exactly it, right? That's exactly it, is that you're getting into people's hearts and minds here. And you're not making anything up, by the way. This is what you do, right? You're not creating some story for them. You're just making their contribution more relevant, and it feels like it's making a difference.
You know, I just had a thought there about, you know, people sitting on this, listening to this podcast, and they're kind of going, yeah, okay, yeah, but we don't need to do that. We're busy. We've got lots of stuff to do, you know, and we ain't got time for all this fluffy stuff like setting visions. And, you know, that's kind of all good MBA speak. That's all good management consultancy stuff. And I was just thinking about, how would you feel working for someone who hasn't got a clue where they're going, other than the metrics in the business? You know, so yeah, we're trying to grow by 1% our EBITDA this year. You know, if your vision is turn up to work because we're trying to grow the EBITDA by 1%, which means that the shareholders or the business are getting more wealthy. How do you feel about that as an employee if that's what the vision is of your boss or your team? What do you think?
Well, I'll tell you what's interesting is that as human beings, we all love something to look forward to. Yeah. Who is not stressed and frustrated with what's been going on with lockdown and all that because they couldn't see the next horizon and the next thing to look forward to? So we need and we love something to look forward to. Well, what are you looking forward to if your mission is come to work for 37 hours and go home? Yeah. If that's your mission, what do you look, and how do you know you're making progress? And how do you know you're moving forward? I mean, we all like to move forward and make progress and improve, don't we?
Correct. Yeah. And we want to know we're on a journey. We, you know, psychologically, we want to know we're on a journey, and we want to know we mean something, which is why this vision is so important. And it's every single leader, whether you've got one person reporting to you or whether you've got thousands reporting to you, you need to set that intention, that vision, and make it exciting and compelling, and believe you believe it. You believe you can get there. Does Elon Musk believe he can get to Mars and colonize Mars? Yes, he does. And there is no question in anyone's mind that he believes that.
But you know, part of this process is that you have a vision, call it vision, mission, call it what you want. You have that, and then you set actions around it to get to where you want to get to. That's the how, right? That's part of executing the how. How do you set your actions around it if you don't have the vision?
Yeah. Well, you're just doing stuff. You know, you're just doing stuff to keep busy. Stuff.
Which maybe is, by the way, somebody might be benefiting from your work, but is it supporting you, your team, and your mentality of your team?
So I'm just going to give two more examples of missions, and then let's move on to how you create one. Yeah. So because I like these. So JetBlue, which is an airline in the US, is to inspire humanity both in the air and on the ground. You know, it's brilliant, inspiring humanity. And I've just found Tesla's one here, which is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. So there's no question when you come into work, what are you doing? You're accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think you know, and it doesn't matter what level in your organization you're in, we've said it already. So let's talk about how. Okay. So, and this is the stuff you're good at, Bertie, is you're great at doing this, is pulling together and getting people behind the vision. So how would you recommend to leaders that are listening to this to pull together a vision?
I would start with the fact that you as a leader need to know what the organization is engaged you personally for. Why are you here? What is it you're expected to do? Now you need to translate that business objective that you've been given into something that says, well, what does the vision look like that says I'm getting there or I've reached certain milestones? You have to create that picture. So let's take the one I said earlier about, I was missioned with driving a business, delivering the revenue, the profit, and all that good stuff. No one said to me, your vision is 50%. They just said, get the job done and make sure you grow and. So we came up with this thing, but it's not about me, because I can think about that. And then what you've got to do is make sure there's people around you that actually buy into that. So I might have started by saying, you know, our mission is 47.6%, right? The guys might have said, well, let's sit down, guys. Let's see how we're going to turn it. They might have gone, that doesn't sound very sexy. And it doesn't sound very, let's do this. I mean, you know, that sounds really simple, guys. But what I'm saying is have other people contribute, rip it apart, put it back together, and don't get attached to it, right? Don't feel that your vision is the one and everyone has to buy in. Other people might tweak that and make it even better than it was before. Not might, they will. They will. If you've got the right team together, they will make your thought even better than it was, because they're also, your leaders are also the connection to your people. And they help translate, how will this mean something to our people? So that's where I would come from, Neil. I'd be saying, let's get, and don't get hung up on the wordsmithing as well, guys, right? Don't worry about the perfect English and does that sound right from the Oxford Dictionary? Don't worry about that stuff, right? Get people on board.
I think, and what I've learned by running lots of workshops, where I always start with the leader's vision, because without that I can't run a workshop for leaders on how they're going to execute if there isn't a vision. But normally what I do is work with the leader first, so that because the leader has to have a passion and a vision for where they're going and know how that fits into the organization, and then, as you say, get the team engaged in it. To get their input, get their buy-in. And then a couple of other things I'd add as well that work really well is, firstly, you cannot do a vision building exercise in a normal management meeting or in a normal team meeting. If you've just been sitting down reviewing customer complaints and your sales forecast for the quarter or for the month, and you're looking at, people issues, you're in the weeds, you're in the today stuff.
It's operational. That's operational.
Correct. So you've got to get out and then add vision on the end of that meeting. That doesn't work. It's got to be specific. This meeting is about the future. This meeting is about where we're going. And I think, the best place to do that is somewhere in an environment where you don't normally meet. Go off site, go somewhere that's going to be nurturing to the brain and inspiring.
Yeah.
Did you agree?
But the other thing is on this, and maybe this is a good time to talk about it as well. This is just about corporate stuff, right? You just have a vision for your job, right? It's about your job, your contribution to the corporation. That's what vision's about, right? That's where you use it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, because you don't need to know where you're going in your own personal life or have your family vision. None of that, because really everything we do every day is all about work.
So you can set the choices about where you want to end up in your life.
And that's scary that you could do that. And Stephen Covey talks about it in his books, in Habit 2. He says, you should have a family mission statement. You should have a direction that and work on it with your family over several weeks, sit over dinner and talk about what is our mission statement. I mean, and I don't know why you're asking the question. I have a personal vision.
It's up there. Could you get it down?
I got it down before the meeting. I'll read it out, because you should be proud of your vision. And so my vision, I call it my ultimate vision, but my vision is I want to use all my skills, experience, attributes to help and develop other people. I want my life to be an example of what is possible to inspire others, physically, emotionally, business, financial health, well-being, and what people can do at any age. I want to live life to the full and experience as many things as I can, see as many places as I can, and meet many fantastic people. And that's up on my wall here. it's also in a book by the side of my bed, which I read in the evening. And I always reminded of my vision. And that's something, vision shouldn't be something you do once and put away. It should be something you read regularly. It's in front of you. You're constantly going back to that. It's like earthing. You're earthing yourself down to connect. Have you ever done that kind of exercise?
No, I haven't. And you know, what you've got there is streets ahead of anything I've got in my own personal life, right? And that's fantastic. And it just shows, guys. And by the way, Neil didn't do this one Saturday morning in a 1 hour session, right? This is something, just as Neil says, you go over and over. And it's the same when you build a vision. You can't tweak it forever. But when you start it, revisit it a couple of times before you decide this is what we're going with. And by the way, if in 6 months something changes, you can adjust that. Just don't do it too many times. Otherwise, if you keep moving your destination, your team are going, which way am I going, right? But there's no reason you couldn't tweak it to be with the business. So don't let your vision become stale, because your vision isn't something you're going to reach in 6 months, possibly. It's normally a longer term view than that. But no, I don't have anything like that, Neil. And, you know, credit to you for what you've got there. And that's a great exercise for people to think about for themselves, right? Not just about your business.
Yeah, for the same reasons, about knowing where you're going, knowing what everything you're doing is aligning behind what you want. And one of the things I do get people to do, and it was interesting just reading that out there because it kind of energized me. If it's a team that I'm working with, I will get them to sit there with their eyes closed. I get them to sit upright and I get them to clear their heads and imagine the future. And then I will read their vision statement back to them and see how that energizes them and get them to write down all of their thoughts after they've heard that vision statement back. And I encourage people, read it back. And does that energize you? Go and read it to someone else in the business, and does that energize them? So, you know, don't be shy of your vision statement. Be proud of it. Be proud of where you want to go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, listen, and that's really important, is that it becomes personal and it's something that you're willing to do that with. Neil's not uncomfortable reading out that vision statement there.
Not at all, no.
You know, some people might feel subconscious and uncomfortable with that to start with. That's okay, right? But you need to get over that, because you've got to get people on board with it if you're talking it being in your corporate or your work role. So
we've talked about why a compelling, and hopefully everyone's got that now. We've got about what, don't get too hung up on it, but you know, because of vision and mission, but there are lots of, it's just what's got to be the words that explain where you want to be.
Yeah.
The how is you as a leader pulling it together, then involving as many people as you can in that process, and doing it for yourself as well. And the who should set this is every single leader in every organization at every level, and personally set it for yourself.
Yeah.
I think
there's one more that we didn't plan to talk about, but we could do it. It's a very quick one. Is when do I do a vision?
Yeah. What would you say?
Anytime. I mean, look, if you've just joined a team, that's a good time to do it, but you could do it anytime. The fact you haven't done it doesn't mean you go, oh, I've missed it. I've missed the milestone of setting a vision. Let's just carry on. You could do it at any time. Something may have changed in the business that caused you to revisit. But at any time, you can go, stop the bus. We don't actually have a vision, guys, as a team. Let's create one. It is harder if you do it with a team that you've been working with for 2 years, and then you suddenly think you need a vision. But there's nothing the matter with that. There's nothing the matter with that at all.
No,
what do you think, Neil? What's your thinking?
100%. You can do it anytime, and you should do it anytime. If you haven't got one, that should be top of your priority list, because your business will perform better, your team will perform better, you'll perform better when you know where you're going, when that vision is in place and you've got it aligned and you're passionate about it. So you could do it anytime, but keep going back to it, keep reminding yourself of it, keep reading it back, and engaging everyone with it. So
we've run for quite a while here, actually, but I hope for our audience that is all really useful stuff, and we'll put some structure around that. The other thing that Neil and I are doing is we're focusing on also having some blogs written, right? So look out for that as well, guys. You've got our videos, you've got our podcasts, and we're also putting blogs together for you as well. So we try to put some structure around this that hopefully you can benefit from that. And please share it. Please share it with people.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, what I'd love for people to share with us is what's your vision statement, what's your vision for your team, for your business, for you individually. Please put it in the comments to this podcast, send it through our website, through the leadershipdetectives.com. If you want to have a free coaching session about building a vision, please reach out. We've done a couple recently, which really enjoyed engaging with people who've not met before. So, please reach out, and we're happy to help with a free coaching session. So should we wrap there?
Good session. Yeah, really good session. I hope this has worked for the team, guys. It's really good to talk to you here again today. As I say, look out for the podcast coming through. We'll put some stuff on that blog. If you can give us some of those vision statements or missions before we get drafting on the blog, maybe we can share some of that on our website as well.
Yeah.
Happy to do all of that, guys. So yeah, really good. So Neil, I'll let you finally close off. Thank you.
Okay. No, thanks everyone for joining. Please subscribe, please like, please share. We want to help as many people as we can. And the way we do that is by you guys sharing the message as well. It's been a pleasure driving this through this conversation. Albert, great to see you again. Thanks for all your input.
Good to see you, mate.
I look forward to talking next week.
Have a great one. See you guys. Cheers. Take care.